Welcome to the Business Spotlight. My name is Jada Walker. I am your host for today's conversation, and my guest today is Neil Chand. He is the co-founder of Food Service IQ. We'll be talking today about his business, journey to business co-ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek of what it's really like to build and operate a business. So, Neil, thank you. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today. I would love for you to give us a little bit of your background of who you are and tell us a little bit about your business as well.
Sure. So, grew up in Wisconsin, small Midwestern town,
Oh,
very quiet.
sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm from Champaign, Illinois, so I'm like, we're
Oh, okay. Close
across the
by.
pond.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I grew up just outside of Milwaukee. Went to Cornell for college, studied computer science there. And upon graduating, moved to New York City, where I started my career on Wall Street building trading software for bond and currency traders. That startup was shortly thereafter acquired. And at that time, my skin was kind of out of the game and was looking for what I wanted to do next. And by chance, happened to meet my now business partner, Mike, who was a former food distribution executive. And after many long conversations with Mike, we decided to team up. We thought we had some complementary skill sets and backgrounds, and decided to build Food Service IQ out of a business that he had prior. And so that's kind of how I got to where I am today in the shortest form I could think of.
I like that. I like it. It was like you gave us enough information, but it was kind of like shortened. I love that. Awesome. So let's actually set the stage for our viewers and listeners. So, generally speaking, I know you're a co-founder. So, what does that structure actually look like being a co-founder?
Yeah. So, I've got a couple of partners in the business who also have ownership. And then we just have employees, some contractors. We've got a small but very effective and growing team.
I like that. Could you tell us a little bit about your role that you currently play in the business?
Yeah, I really handle, I've got all the hats on any given day. I would say my biggest responsibilities are overall strategy, right? Client management. I still am very involved in sales, operations. So, typical kind of founder lifestyle at the moment and trying to fire myself as we continue to grow from various roles.
Nice. So whenever you actually look at your role, how many hours do you spend working on the business? Like, or like in the business, sorry. And then how many do you do on the business, like strategy and planning and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that changes and fluctuates as time goes on, but I would say in the beginning of the business, right, very much in it, building things from the ground up, hiring employees and managing them very closely. As time's gone on, I would say in our current state, I probably am about 50-50 in terms of in the business versus on the business.
Nice. And how long have you guys been in business again? I think it said it was like 4-ish years.
Yeah, so Food Service IQ has been around for about 4 years. However, the business that we built off of, Food Service Advantage, has been around for 15 since 2010.
Oh, nice.
I
So,
guess 16 now.
so what made you guys decide to build off of that business instead of just I guess basically kind of starting from scratch, or was it kind of starting like scratch? Or
It wasn't no, it wasn't necessarily starting from scratch. I mean, Food Service Advantage had some good infrastructure already, but really it was my partner Mike's talent and experience in the business as a former food distribution executive. He was formerly a COO at Cisco and CEO at Performance Food Group, and so there's just not a lot of Mikes out there in the world. And when I talked to him and met him and learned more about his background, the clients that he had at the time, the success that he'd had with his clients, I just decided that he'd be the right guy to build something amazing with. And so that's kind of where Food Service IQ came to be.
nice. I like that. I like how you can like meet someone and like just kind of not like bond. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a bond whenever you meet someone, you're like getting to know them, you're bonding with them, and then you can just like be like, yes, like this is who I need as my business partner. Like we're gonna go into business and it's gonna be successful. That's so cool. So
Well, I probably spend more time with the partners in the business than I do my fiance, soon to be wife. So I would say we're married in some ways.
yeah, of course. It's like that, yeah, having that business connection, I'm like, that basically is a marriage. Cause then like you guys could bicker back and forth. You could come to like disagreements, like just like in relationships, like it is like a marriage. And then if you break up, it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we're sleep. Literally is like a divorce. So before we get into the nitty gritty of the business itself, let's kind of look a little more into your background a bit and what led you here. So as you look back on your journey so far, what has been the most memorable roadblock or hurdle that you were challenged with and then you were forced to overcome it?
Yeah, I would say one of the bigger ones was the transition from high school to college. I remember I actually really struggled with that. I went to a very small school where I had 70 people in my graduating class, and then all of a sudden I'm in a place where there's 4,000 people in my grade, right?
Yeah.
Lots of diverse backgrounds, experiences, et cetera, and so. I think I struggled with that like many people do. And it took me maybe a little longer than I would have liked at the time to get used to that different dynamic and being around so many different people and learning from all of them, learning to manage different personalities.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a very positive experience looking back, even though it was tough in the moment.
Yeah, I like that because I feel the exact same. When I went to college, I my class was a little bigger, honestly. Like I went to a school, I think we had like two 230, and we were the biggest class in a long time. But like my boyfriend, his class was like, I think he said like 22 people. So I
Mhm.
totally get it. Like those smaller classes, like it's a huge adjustment, honestly, because thousands of kids compared to like 70, like that's a lot of people to be like around all the time. And then all the different personalities. Like I had a roommate, she was crazy. Like crazy. They were gonna kick her off campus. Like she was
Yeah.
crazy. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm naturally an introvert, right? So that only makes that hurdle harder to climb over.
Right. And then there's like so much thrown in your face because they're like, come to this event. There's like free food here, free, like everything's free. They're just throwing all the free stuff. I went to
Yeah.
anything that was free, especially if it was food. Oh, yeah, that freshman 15 was like on me, but I was definitely one of those people that was like, yeah, if it's free, I'm going.
Yeah.
So what impact has this had on your growth as a business owner?
Yeah. Well, when you have your own business, you are beholden to your clients, your vendors, et cetera, right? And so you really need to learn how to manage those personalities, work with people,
Mm,
work with the team, stand your ground when you need to. And so I think the skills that I developed getting over that roadblock initially of struggling a little bit with that transition were really helpful for my career long term.
yeah, yeah, especially because you have to talk to a whole bunch of different people, probably for like funding or just anything like business meetings, like of course. So that's all good. Yeah, I love that. So, I have yet to encounter a business owner that has had, or that hasn't had peaks and valleys on their journey of building a great business. So, how do you manage the difficult days?
Well, I think the knowledge that there would be high highs and low lows going in is helpful, right? So preparing myself mentally for the variance, right? In terms of one day, we'll have a huge win, and one day we'll have a real struggle that we need to get over. Um, I think it's just repetition, right? So you start to understand the cadence of a small business, and there's really nothing you can do that's going to fully prepare you for that other than being in it and understanding that you will go through it. And so for me, it's just been a matter of managing the challenges as they come, and enjoying the wins as well when they come.
I like that. I've actually had to tell myself that a lot recently, like just put yourself in that position. And if it's meant for you, like, it's meant for you, you'll push through it and get through it. If you weren't supposed to be in this position, like God wouldn't even put it in front of you type of thing. Like that's how I think. But I'm just like, I get very nervous. So I'm someone who definitely is like, I basically will hold myself back because of that fear. But I've definitely been lately telling myself like, just do it and you'll feel better afterwards because then you've basically conquered that fear.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
certainly not for everyone. I mean, I don't think entrepreneurship is a path that I would recommend just anyone take.
Right.
It takes a certain personality, but if you have that personality, I think it can be a really rewarding path.
Yeah. So let's kind of move on to what makes your business so special. So, who primarily does your business serve? Like, if I were in the audience, how would I know that I'm a good fit for your product or service?
Yeah, well, our ideal customer. So what we do is we help independent restaurants reduce their food costs. right? And generally, our average client saves 5 to 7% on their annual costs without necessarily changing their vendors or the SKUs that they're buying. And so our ideal client is generally a restaurant group that spends at least $1 million a year through a broadline distributor like Cisco, US Foods, Shamrock, Gordon Foods, et cetera. Is struggling with costs, with food costs, and could benefit from our expertise and buying power in that area.
Okay. How would you say that your competitors compare to you guys?
I think we're much leaner, more efficient. We've embraced a lot more technology than the industry, I think, in general has. I think it's a very big and old and slow-moving industry, and we're kind of the unique upstart in that regard. I think also we've just got a really diverse background and skill set, right? So not all of us came from this industry. And those of us that did were generally very high up, right? Executives at some of the more important companies in the space. So, between skill sets, mindset, background, I think we've got something pretty unique here.
Nice. So speaking of unique, so I was about to say, what makes your business unique, and like, how do you communicate what makes your business stand out against the competition?
I think people feel it at every touch point. So, they encounter a piece of marketing from us, they jump on a call with us, they actually sign up and start to recognize the savings, right? Every single touch point, I think, has something that differentiates us and makes it feel like a really premium experience and a premium service. And so that's been a focus of ours, is just kind of client obsession generally, right, as a value.
I like that. And I like how you guys like your whole business is like helping people save money because especially with this economy nowadays, it's like, what in the heck is going on? Like everything is rising. I'm just like, can it stop?
Yeah, it's been a good time to be in cost reduction for sure.
Yeah. What is one thing that you wish more people knew about your business?
Well, when somebody encounters a piece of marketing, they're seeing, a 30-second view of what we think is going to get somebody's interest in what we do, right? And I feel like it may not necessarily communicate entirely what we're about, or how exactly we work and the real results that we've been able to deliver for businesses. And so I would say that's just kind of been my struggle. Is I am not a marketing person, and so I really trust our team to do it. But something that I always want to focus on is try to get across, like, what is it that we do, and why are we effective,
Yeah.
right? In as best the way possible, rather than just grabbing attention. That's
Right.
something I've just struggled with in general, but it could be just because I'm not a marketing person.
Well, sometimes I don't know because it is like, yeah, marketing's hard sometimes. I was actually that's gonna be our next subject, but sometimes I like the plain and simple stuff. Like, just let me know what it is so I don't have to go and research or like go on Google and be like, what is this? Sometimes, like, because I already do that enough with my job, of course. But yeah, I'm like, if it's just plainly out there, I don't see like what the issue is. Like, what, like, any normal person should just be like, okay, yeah, like, that's what I want. Like, that's exactly what I need. It's pointing in my face. So let me just go ahead and jump on that. I'm like, that's how marketing needs to be. It's just plain and simple. I don't see why it needs to be so extravagant and like all these different things.
Hmm.
So actually, we're going to move on to marketing. So it is vital for every business out there, and of course, a lot of business owners struggle. So for your business, do you know how many different strategies that you guys use?
For marketing,
Yeah.
different strategies. So we have a handful of main channels, but generally our
Mhm.
strategy, our main channel is referrals, and so our strategy is just continue to build that pipeline.
So I feel like referrals are the best ones because then like it's like word of mouth. Like you already heard it from someone who's experienced with you guys and like they had a great experience. So yeah, like why not? I love word of mouth. I tell everyone everything that I try. I'm bad. I'm not like an influencer or anything like on Instagram, but I'm like if I like it, I'm gonna tell you. Like High Wings that's on Burn It, that's my favorite chicken place. I tell everyone about
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm like a walking billboard basically. So yeah. I like
That's
that
great.
for you. I actually kind of lost my spot for a second. Sorry. Oh, What approach have you taken to track your leads? Like, do you guys use a CRM at all?
Yeah, we have an internal CRM that we've built out to do that.
Nice. I was like, I've had people tell me like, no, like I don't use anything. I'm just whatever, or like they just literally will just use what is that called? Excel to like have all their things, which I'm like, that's at least you have Excel, but I'm like, you need
That,
something
that can work
else.
just fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so moving from marketing to sales, what does your guys' sales process look like?
Yeah, so generally, a warm lead comes in. We have a kind of an introductory call where we first understand, hey, is this person within our ICP? And if so, we'll kind of present what we're about, what we think we can do for them. If they're still feeling good, we'll schedule a follow-up call, kind of get any questions they have answered, walk through our onboarding, and from there, if everybody's feeling good, we get our agreement signed and we start working.
Nice. I like how it's like just a couple steps and it's not like something so intriguing or like complicated that you have to go
Yeah,
through the
not
process.
too complicated.
Yeah. And I like how you just talk to people too, because then like you get to know them and yeah, that's really nice. So you have mentioned a few team members where possible, and I feel it's important to address the topic of building a team. So how would you describe your leadership style in business and has it changed over the years?
It's definitely changed a bit. I think the first thing that's important for me is having empathy for the folks working for us, while at the same time being balancing, really pushing them to the extent of their skill level, encouraging them to develop new skills, and obviously putting out very high quality work. So I mentioned client obsession is kind of our number one value. In order to have client obsession or exhibit that value, you need to put out very high quality work. So we have high expectations of our team, but at the same time, I try not to let that cloud, my judgment over their performance if there are extenuating circumstances that may result in, a mistake or something that needs to be reviewed together. We're very collaborative, iterative, whilst at the same time trying to push everybody to the extent that they can output.
I like that. So whenever you are like looking to, I guess, what is it called? To sorry, my brain's like not working. It's almost like it's Monday. Whenever you're looking for like people for certain positions, do you guys like to hire within or do you like outsource and like look for someone who's already basically kind of done that type of job?
Historically, we've hired within,
Yes.
but we've also found somebody externally to fill a role if we felt like nobody internally was quite ready yet to take it on, or if it was a brand new role, of course.
I like that because I've been at jobs where I've felt like I was ready for the next thing, like to be like team leader or like manager, whatever it was, but then I was overlooked or they just hired like outside of the company. And it was like, hey, I'm right here, people.
Yeah,
Been here for a couple of years now. Like, what am I'm just
I
gonna
understand
stay
that.
being this person? Like, no. So I love that.
Totally understand that.
Yeah. Um, so do you see any other leaders that are developing in your team currently?
Oh, for sure. I would say, there's at least two or three folks that are top of mind for me to really who are on a heavy trajectory to be, either COO or, president within the company.
Nice. That's really cool. But they're gonna watch this and be like, "Ooh, I wonder if it's me."
Yeah, that's why I'm not naming names.
Let's now fast forward and look at what's to come next. So, where do you see the business in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, our focus is really scale, right? And so building the team, the systems in place to do that is kind of one of my core priorities at the moment. And so I would hope that we've grown significantly in that time, and that we continue to deliver the results that we have been known for as we continue to scale, right? So we don't let down on that client obsession value.
Yeah. So these kind of sound like a couple goals. So I'm actually going to ask, what has been your approach to goal setting, and how many goals do you set at a time?
You're asking about business, personal?
It can honestly, you could talk about business or personal, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they're fairly similar processes. The business goals are obviously a little bit more collaborative than my own personal ones, but I guess, personally, I have a process that I go through at the end of the year where I like to go through my photos, my calendar, right? Just kind of set aside 4 to 6 hours on my calendar and do not disturb, and review everything that happened over the year. And there were these 21 questions. I think it's 21 questions. There's this article by Tim Ferriss that I encountered a while back, that I don't know. I resonated with some of the questions that he would ask himself on there, and I think it was his process every year. And so I just kind of copied that, and now I've kind of made my own process out of it, where I'll do a year in review. I'll ask myself those questions, and I'll kind of reorient myself for the following year. So generally, goal setting for me is a once a year approach.
I like that. That was like I've never heard anyone like that has set goals like that. So then even whenever you mention someone else that kind of does it, I'm like, what? But that's really cool. Like
That
you
worked
just
for me.
yeah. And I like how you said you look through your photos too, because I wouldn't have even thought of that. Like all my photos are my child. So I'm like,
Yeah,
that's my life right now. It's like I don't have travel in there, nothing. It's literally just my
yeah.
child.
Well,
So
it tells you something about where you're at, right, and what your priorities are. So that's why I find that to be
literally.
a useful part of the exercise.
Yeah, but that is so cool. I like that. I'm like, I might actually incorporate that into my like goal setting now that I have that written down.
Helpful.
That's really cool. So now that we're actually gonna wrap up a little bit, you've had a really interesting story. So as we wrap up, I just have a few rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay. What is the key to success for you?
Staying humble and staying adaptive.
I like that. What is one piece of advice for other business owners?
Um, I am not a good advice giver. I actually don't enjoy giving blanket advice. So mine would be, don't take advice from people giving you blanket advice.
Look, I actually like that one. This is kind of a fun question. If I had a bit of, or if you had a bit of magic dust that you could choose one spot of your business to sprinkle it, where would it be?
Um, that's a good question. I would say probably anytime we onboard a new team member, sprinkling the client obsession value on them so that we don't have to train that up would be very, very nice.
That question or that answer. Wow, my brain. So before we get to the final question of the day, could you please share with our audience how they can follow you and learn more and contact you?
Yeah, well, our website is foodserviceiq.com. And so we have a contact form there if you're interested in chatting with us. That would probably be the best way to do it.
Awesome. Okay, well, we've come to that final question of the day, and it is what is inspiring to you today?
I would say, to be honest, it's all the change that's been happening in the technology world, specifically in relation to AI, and all the advancements that have come out of it. I can foresee some disruption happening, but I think in the long term, this is all going to result in really, really positive changes at the most fundamental layers of our society. So I'm just really excited about all of that.
Yeah. I say I've talked to a couple people about AI like through like these interviews, and I'm like, you guys are blowing my mind because I didn't even know that this was possible at all. But I'm just like,
Moving fast.
I'm blown. And then I'm like, how do you guys even build these things? Like, how are you that smart that you know how to build? Like, it makes no sense to me, but okay. I'm like,
Well,
that's your brain. I'm like, I need a little part of it in here.
yeah.
That's so cool. But this has been a great conversation. I have really enjoyed hearing your story, Neil. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And also, I just encourage all of you watching to save this show and come back and watch it again because Neil really did have some great insights for business. And please do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get notifications every time a new conversation drops, just like this one. Thank you to everyone who joined us today, and a special thank you to you, Neil, again for being here with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.